also Shannon Grimm with Shannon Grimm and Partners. Today, Slavi Jordanoff and Michael Stanley and I are joined by Sherri Herrick from Herrick's Custom Furniture and Cabinetry.
Nailed it.
You got it.
I'm pretty sure they're going to start betting on how many times I mess something up, but I got it. So tell us a little bit about what you do. So your husband is a certified cabinet maker?
Yes, so I'm married into this.
Mm-hmm.
But I've been married to him for 21 years, so it's not a new thing. But yes, my husband was, when I met him, he was an apprentice to be a cabinet maker. So he went through a 4-year apprenticeship training under a master cabinet maker to learn his trade.
That's awesome.
And we had been together for about 2 years. He got his certification, so he has a fancy little certificate from the U.S. Department of Labor that says that he's a certified cabinet maker. And he's been doing it ever since. He was working, when I met him, when he was in his apprenticeship, he was working for an architectural millwork firm in New Jersey. And this thing feels like it kind of keeps falling off. But once he got his certification, I moved him out here to Ohio. And he worked for a custom cabinet shop for roughly about 10 years. And during that time, we were in the process of establishing our own business, setting it up. And about 11 years ago, we went full-time with our own business. Great. And so we do all sorts of individual furniture pieces, built-in cabinetry, kitchen cabinetry, vanities, all sorts of everything under that realm. Yes.
Very cool. Okay, very cool. And you said that so he did have to go through a long apprenticeship and a certification. And you said before we got on air here, we were having a conversation, and you said at any given time there's only about 1,000 total cabinet makers in the country.
Yeah.
Gosh, that's low.
It's very, very low. I don't know why this keeps kind of
I know. I love my favorite part is watching it slide back. I just keep staring at it.
I know.
There we go.
I don't know why I keep doing it, but yes, we were actually reading in a woodworking book that was published back in the 1950s, and they said there was about 1,000, and the last information that I had was it's roughly the same amount now.
Jeez, our population's probably 6 times bigger than then, and it's
exactly. Well, it's a very hard market to get into for a couple of reasons. One, cabinetry is viewed as production for the most part these days. You go to a big box store, you buy your cabinets. Right. Most people don't even think of custom. They just
or they don't want to pay for it.
Yeah, or they don't want to pay for it. But the other thing is the level of skill required, because you can't just be a good woodworker. You also have to have an artist's eye. So you also have to be able to do design as well as do the physical work of building it. And just most people that are into woodworking just don't have that.
They don't have both, basically, right?
Right, yeah. They don't have both, and it's very much an attention to detail type of a thing. I knew we were talking.
That sort of takes out all men.
Don't tell my husband that.
Am I right?
Well, in certain things, certain areas, yes. Men pay attention to things that they want to pay attention to.
Exactly. We were just having that conversation earlier.
Yes. So he deals in very small increments. We were talking a little bit earlier about the difference between carpenters and cabinet makers. And carpenters tend to work in about a 16th to a 32nd of an inch when they're doing measurements. And my husband works in thousandths of an inch.
Wow.
So that kind of gives you a decent idea about the difference between the skill level of a cabinet maker versus a carpenter. Ultimately it's a detail thing. It really is. They have to be so precise in the level that he's doing things at. But again, with cost things, that comes with a price.
Yep.
So it depends on if you're going to want to pay for the skill level or not.
Right. But you said you also do custom furniture too.
Yes.
So you're going to join us at our Builder Expo. Are you going to bring pieces of furniture that he's built with you? I'm
gonna definitely bring a sample cabinet that we did.
Okay, cool.
It's kind of my furniture sample that how way back when there used to be more cabinet makers and furniture stores when they were used to be in their inception. The salespeople used to carry around furniture samples. They were miniature samples of the things. So I have a miniature cabinet. It's not overly miniature, but it's smaller, but it gives a good idea of example of what we do and how we can do it. But all of our furniture is built to order. So we sit down. Again, the design aspects comes into play. We sit down with you and we find out exactly what size, what style, all the details you want. You want hidden compartments? Do you want, raised panels, flat panels, certain design on it? And we design and then build that piece specifically for you. And because of that, no two pieces that we build, either in furniture or cabinetry, are going to be the same. Because even when we're building our kitchen cabinets, we're going in and measuring down to about a 1/16 of an inch in your kitchen. Versus if you go to the home center, they're measuring down to 3 inches.
And then they just cover the gap with some trim.
With some filler strips. Yes, my husband likes to call those mistake sticks.
I mean, that's accurate.
Pretty accurate. Just like quarter round.
Yeah.
Quarter round hides the fact that they did not measure twice and cut once.
Yeah, quarter round has its place. It's nice against flooring because, the cabinet maker's not putting in the flooring. Yeah. And floors are rarely flat.
Right.
So,
flat, yes.
So it does help in that respect. Again, everything has its place, but nowadays there's a reason my husband calls them steak sticks because people just fill in the gaps. I mean, the horror stories I've heard over the years. I had a carpenter who said he could install some of our cabinets for us one time because he was doing some other work for a client. And the wall was out 1/4 of an inch. And so on the top, it was one measurement, and the bottom, it was a 1/4 inch difference. And he's like, oh, yeah. He's like, I can just fill that with caulk.
Wow.
We literally turned to the client and said, please don't have him install them. Please.
Wow.
We'll either install or I'll give you a name of somebody that can install them, but please don't let him install this cabinet.
That's crazy. Although I do know a structural engineer who's now retired who would have you double fist and caulk everywhere you go. One silicone and one latex.
Yeah.
But for different reasons. But he's a huge fan of caulk. I think he must have owned shares. I don't know.
Wow.
That's too funny.
But so what are some of the fun projects you've done? He built, if you've ever been to the Ohio State University, to their new student union, on the very first floor, there is a lobby with a big fireplace. My husband actually built the fireplace mantle. Very cool.
OSU actually provided us the lumber. From trees that they had cut down on the campus.
That's awesome. Abby, you're going to pull a picture of that and put this overlaid on the podcast.
So, it was actually one of the most nerve-wracking things he did. And not because it was really overly difficult, but because we had a finite amount of lumber. Yeah. We couldn't just go and, to our supplier and say, hey, I need, 10 more board feet of, walnut or whatever. Right. We had what we had, and that was it. That was it. Right. We also, on that project, did a replica table for them. It was an octagon table. It was an octagon table that was originally in the first student union, which is like 150 years ago. Wow. And they wanted to create a replica of that with some updates. So 3 woodworkers went in on that. One of them made the legs. One of them did the carving that was in the legs because they carved out the block OSU.
The block O, yeah.
Very cool.
And then my husband did the tabletop, and that is on the 3rd floor. Last I looked, on that same student union, tucked into a corner. But he did the whole top is veneered, wood veneer, so it's very, very thin wood. Wow. But he took different types of wood and made the tabletop, then inlaid into that tabletop a block O and a buckeye leaf, all using different kinds of lumber.
Very cool.
Veneer. So that's probably the coolest thing there. We've also done we also built all of the presidential podiums when for the campaign when Hillary Clinton was running for president.
Very cool.
Built all of, if you've watched the television, when she did the news conference and stuff, when she's at her rallies behind those podiums, those are podiums.
Wow, that's awesome.
Impressive.
Very cool.
Yeah, so we've done some prestigious things.
How does someone like that find you, get in touch with you? Like, where have people said they've heard about you from?
I would say 95% of our jobs come from word of mouth. The OSU project was through a fellow woodworker. They wanted to do, they came to him because they had worked on projects with him, and it was above his skill level. So he came looking. He knew my husband, so he came to us for that. And then for the presidential podiums, similar situation. They approached a carpenter in West Jefferson. And he had done some setup work for Clinton when she was running for the Democratic nomination against Obama. And they wanted to see if he could do it. And he goes, no, that's above my skill level. He's like, but I can probably find you somebody that can do it. So that's kind of how that fell into our lap. And we've done that. We've done, when Bloomberg was running, we built podiums for him, Cory Booker, and Elizabeth Warren. So
I just kind of thought that podiums would get reused.
That's kind of what I thought too.
They reused them for the governors.
Okay.
So
Roman and Totem Pole gets the reused podium.
Yeah, because they repurposed when during the race for Chicago governor, they repurposed Hillary Clinton's podium for that. So
very cool,
they do repurpose them, just
your
not
podiums
on the
get
podiums.
Around.
Yeah, just not on the presidential, because that's such a huge stage.
Right.
And
very cool though.
Yeah. So
to have had your work featured in some place like that, so very cool. Well, your husband's work, but you helped get him there.
Oh, I do more work in the shop than what people think I do. I think a lot of people think I just sit behind a desk and do the sales portion, which I do, but we actually just had our roof redone not too long ago.
We just had a roofing company here earlier on the podcast. That's so funny. Yeah, go ahead, though.
And the guy was coming to pick up one of the checks from because it was an insurance claim, and he came in the shop because he knocked on the house and we weren't there, so because our shop's on our property, and he comes to the shop, and I'm in there running parts through the shaper, and he's like, oh, you're in here working. I'm like, I tell people I do work at the shop, but I just don't think that they think I run the machines. But I do. I've
kind of cool though.
I've worked, I think, the only machine, I've even used the table saw, although I don't like to. I think I've only used it once, but
I can envision bad things happen if I have a table saw.
Well, table saws are tricky things, just because if you don't know what you're doing, things can
I would lose an arm
back at you, and you're more likely to get impaled with a table saw than actually cut your finger off, believe it or not. I should not be around
stuff like that.
I specifically remember
I get it.
Shop class. I did a woodworking shop class in middle school. Loved the teacher. He was up everybody's butt about the tables. Anytime we were over the table saw, he's like, if I see you do the wrong thing one time, you're never getting on there again. And I was like,
no. I remember my husband telling me that he actually read about an Amish man that there was the table saw kicked back on him and impaled him with a piece of wood.
Jeez.
Like it was like, because if you have to know, like, you just have to know when to put more pressure, when to put less pressure, and how to maneuver the piece if it starts to bind up on you. And if you don't know what you're doing, it's very, very, very dangerous, and that's why people get hurt, because they don't know.
No patience for things. They need to work now. So I would be like impaled and bleeding heavily.
That would not work. that would so not work, because woodworking does not go quickly. No.
Well, again, that's the cost involved, because it doesn't go quickly because of the quality, which is where the cost comes in, because you want that if you want it done right, you want it,
it's
to take however long it takes. Right.
It's attention to detail. Like it usually takes him, because we actually, unlike a lot of even custom shops in the area, we have the ability to make our own doors and drawer boxes, which means that if somebody needs a door profile matched to an existing thing, we can do that.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah. And we have done that. We actually had it was a new build house in Lewis Center, and
we sell new build houses in Lewis Center.
Yes, and the client closed on their house, missing a cabinet in their master bathroom.
Oh dear.
So it was supposed to be, the bathroom vanity was supposed to be 3 cabinets, 2 drawer stacks, and a sink cabinet, and it was missing one of the drawer stacks.
Wow.
The builder,
that should not have happened.
It shouldn't have, but the builder said that they would put it in there, that it didn't get ordered, or it came broken or something, and they would get it ordered. Well, 13 months later, it was still not there. And
that's when you have a realtor who squeaks and squawks until you get it, and it should not take 13 months.
Yeah. So basically, after going back and forth and was not getting any progress from the builder, she came to us and she's like, "Can you do this? Could you put it in there? Because I'm not getting anywhere with the builder." So I'm like, "Yeah, we can do it." So we wrote up the price and what it would cost to do it, took all the measurements. She went to the builder and said, "Look, you haven't done this. I've got somebody who will do it for me. This is how much it's going to cost. You need to pay for it."
Yeah.
And they did. I mean, in their
good.
defense,
That's
they
good.
did pay for it.
Okay.
But we can do stuff like that. And it looks like we actually went as far as matching. We searched down the drawer slides, the exact type of drawer slides that the builder had used, so that even those would match.
Wow.
Now, I will say the finish, even though it looks like it's going to match now, our finish is going to wear way better than their finish. So, give it 10 years and ours is going to look really amazing.
Yeah.
And yours is going to start deteriorating, but, I can't help that.
It is what it is.
You got them what they needed right now. That's all that matters.
Exactly.
You did what you could do.
Exactly.
So, how much would you say, ballpark estimate, how much would it cost for, like, an average size kitchen, just kind of more basic cabinets?
Well, I can tell you on a 20 cabinet kitchen, full custom, you're going to be looking at anywhere, and this is installed, keep in mind, because unlike when you're going to a home center and you're just buying the cabinets, not installed, the price they give you is not installed, okay? And it doesn't typically include your trim and all of that stuff. Right. So this is everything together. You're looking at anywhere usually between $100,000 to $120,000.
Okay, that's reasonable.
Yeah, but again, you're getting
20 cabinets is a lot, though. That's a good sized kitchen.
It's a decent sized kitchen. Yeah, it's a decent sized kitchen. So you can kind of go off of that.
But that's a good estimate.
Yeah.
And people that are spending $1 million on a house, that's not bad.
No, it's not. And you also have to think that when you're going and buying cabinets, builder grade cabinets from the home center, they are anticipating, their business model anticipates that you are going to repurchase those cabinets in about 11 years. Okay? I'm never anticipating you're ever going to repurchase those cabinets.
Ever?
In your lifetime.
No. It makes sense.
No.
It does.
Like, the average lifespan of custom cabinetry is about 50 years. And usually they're not falling apart at that point. It's just the styles have changed so much at that point that people just decide that they're ready to tear them out.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, I don't know. I'm sure you guys can think about instances back from, like, you've got cabinets in a house that was from maybe the 40s or the 50s, where the previous owner built those cabinets.
Right.
Those cabinets are probably still in good shape.
They're in good shape, you're right, yeah.
Yeah, they may be totally out of style, but they're still in good shape. And that's kind of the same thing. It's like, whereas how many builder grade cabinets do you go into a house that was built even 5 years ago, and the cabinets are starting to look a little shabby?
Well, what was the one thing that they used to do? So the really big thing to do on the white cabinets was thermofoil. And that thermofoil, it just peeled right off.
I still see it all the time.
So
It's terrible.
I haven't seen it in a while, thank God. But anytime you put that near a microwave or near a stove, it was always peeling. And it was like plastic underneath. So, like, no way to redo that or fix that or anything. So, like, and it wouldn't take to paint or anything. So,
yeah, no. See, again, that's the other thing that sets us apart from a builder grade cabinet, is that all of our finishes are specifically made for the woodworking industry. They're all professional grade finishes, and they all have very high chemical resistance.
Wow.
So, I will say they're post-catalyzed lacquers, which probably doesn't mean a whole lot to people who aren't in the industry. But the difference between that and a pre-catalyzed lacquer, which is what you're going to get when you buy in the home centers, is that from a production standpoint, when I'm making these cabinets, I can put a pre-catalyzed lacquer in my container to spray it onto your cabinet, and it can sit there for months. And I can just add to it. I don't have to change it out. It's not going to get hard on me. I can just continue to use it until I'm out of it. A post-catalyzed lacquer, however, I have to put in the exact amount that I'm going to use, add a catalyst to it, and I have 8 hours to use that before it becomes unusable. So it's going to be a much harder, more durable finish on your cabinets. But again, that comes at a cost.
Right, yeah.
So again, it is a get what you pay for, which is one of the biggest things that I end up doing with the sales portion, is an education factor. Because most consumers don't know what to ask. They don't know what they're looking at. To them, a cabinet's a cabinet's a cabinet. And it's really not.
And I mean, some of them look for certain things, right? Like they look for the dovetailing, or they look for, are they slow closed drawers? That's all they know to look at.
That's why dovetail drawer boxes mean nothing anymore.
Yeah.
Because manufacturers have figured out
how to make them look that way.
That people think the dovetail drawer boxes make something good quality. And because that's what it is, they make sure. Most of them, if they want to present a high quality cabinet, they will intentionally put dovetail drawer boxes in there, whether they're high quality or not. The rest of the cabinet can be absolute garbage. But they know that most consumers are not going to look past that. They're going to open the thing, they're going to see the dovetail drawer box, and they're like, oh, these are good quality cabinets. And they're going to move on.
That's usually what everyone does. They want to see if they're slow closed drawers and doors. And they're looking for that dovetail.
Yep, exactly. So
that's it.
Manufacturers are not stupid. They know what consumers are looking for. They know what the perception is of what quality is. So they make sure that their cabinets have those little things, and they know that they can make the rest of it however they want. They can cut corners on the stuff that the consumers aren't paying attention to whenever they want. So yeah, it's like I said, my biggest thing in my job is education, because, and I will say that we have customers that once they get stuff from us, they come back over and over and over again. We have a doctor in Powell that we are currently working on our 6th job with him.
Oh wow!
So, he's personal, or he refers you to someone?
Oh no, this is for him personally.
Wow.
And he has referred us, but he will say he gets flabbergasted because he's like, I work with a bunch of doctors and nurses who can afford your stuff, but they don't want to do it. They don't want to go through the thing. He goes, but that makes no sense to me because I buy it from you one time, and we did our first job with him back in 2009, I think. And that coffee table is still sitting in his dining room, and it looks absolutely gorgeous, just like it did when we did. I mean, it just does. And I will also say, even with furniture, even if you get, nicks and stuff with the furniture, nice quality, like really nice quality furniture like we make, think about how the old antique stuff is. Even if it has a nick or something in it, it doesn't take away from the beauty because it's a good quality piece. It's the same thing. It's the same basic thing. But yeah, you it's hard to find that. Like I said, unless you're going and commissioning, because that's what you're doing. You're commissioning a piece. Yeah. Just like you would be commissioning a piece of art. This is just a functional piece of art.
Right, exactly.
It literally is a functional piece of art.
Yeah, because it's going to be beautiful. It's going to add to your home's beauty.
So you make a lot of coffee tables and kitchen tables or chairs. Yeah. What else?
Our most recent furniture piece was actually a dresser.
Okay.
And the client came to us because they wanted to have a concealment compartment for the wife's jewelry. So we ended up, we can do concealment compartments with either RFID cards or with magnets, just completely, again, it's all custom, so whatever you want. They wanted an RFID card, so we actually built it so the top slid.
Oh, that's awesome.
Tap the card, the RFID card on the top in a certain spot, and it releases it. You can slide out the top molding, and there's a whole section in there. So, yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
My goal is to have jewelry that needs to be hidden. Then I'll worry about affording something to hide it in.
There you go.
The funny thing is, they were like, we're not even telling our kids that it's there because we don't want them to know. I said, well, I sure hope you leave it in the wheel well or something where what they got to do to get access to it so they don't sell the door.
Yeah, they're just like, oh, let's sell that piece of furniture. And
Yeah, we don't want this. It's our parents' furniture.
Exactly. So you don't want to do that.
So what's your favorite? Do you like working behind the desk, or do you like getting your hands dirty in the shop as well?
Oh, I much prefer working behind the desk.
What, much prefer working behind? Okay. You don't like the smell of the sawdust perfume you get?
It's not the smell. It's just so I'm a people person, if you couldn't tell by my ease in front of the camera. My background is in customer service. Okay. I have worked in some form of customer service since I was 14 years old. So I like problem solving. I like talking to people. I'm very good at communication and explaining things, which helps, believe it or not, in this position because my husband is he's a very artsy person and he's very technical. Right. And sometimes he over-technicals too when he's trying to talk to it. Like when a client asks, like, can you do this, this, and this, or I would like this, he tries to explain it to them, and sometimes it's just so technical because he's thinking about it in his, he's building it in his head. Right. And sometimes I'm like, okay, he's saying this is what he's talking about because I've been around him long enough that I can understand what he's saying.
You're his translator.
I am. Yes.
You're a Google Translator.
I am. I'm the cabinet maker translator. Yes.
I live with the the brainy one. Also, it's not always pleasant. So he can't really communicate with others.
Yeah, he's gotten better over the years because we've worked on some, I'm like, I would literally tell him, like, they didn't understand what you're saying. You cannot get so technical because I know what you're saying, but when their eyes are starting to glaze over because they don't
you gotta talk to them like they've never heard anything about it. So.
Yeah, and I mean, again, if he's talking to another woodworker, somebody who does, knows the machines and, all that kind of stuff, it's not a big deal because they understand the basics, even if they don't understand all the detail of what he's going to, they understand the basic premise. But yeah, most doctors and dentists and stuff are not going to understand about, woodworking, tooling, and shapers, and finishes, and all that kind of stuff. They're just not going to get that. They're not going to get it because it's not their area of expertise.
I love when you call someone who's in customer service or something, and they start acronyming you to death, and it's like, okay, well, I don't work for you, so you're going to have to explain to me exactly what it is you're trying to tell me because I have no idea what all this means. And they're like, oh. So that's why we try to make sure we explain things to people in terms that you can understand.
You've gotta meet people at their level of where they're at, and that's not an insult by any stretch of the imagination. Right. I'm not gonna go in and try to tell a brain surgeon how to do surgery. Exactly. That's just not. It's not gonna happen. Right. It doesn't make any sense. But on the flip side, you need to have a cabinet. If you're going to hire a craftsman to do something, you need to have confidence that they know what they're doing and that they can do what you need them to do. So, you just have to go with that. That's why the research and the education is so important. But trying to educate, like I said, is the biggest thing, because it's really hard when you have places like the home centers that are saying they sell custom cabinetry when they don't.
Custom means it's truly one of a kind, though, right? So that's
it is. It was funny. You guys will get a kick out of this. I called a home builder once and asked them if they use custom cabinetry in any of their homes, and they said, yeah, we get our custom cabinets through American Signature, and then we get our custom cabinets from an Amish guy. What's custom? Please explain that.
The double custom.
Yeah, I'm like, there's no such. But that's the confusion that has happened in the industry, because you have these home centers trying to sell custom cabinets that aren't truly.
Which just becomes a name then.
It does. But it's confusing the consumer, and that's where I have my issue. Is that it is confusing the consumer, because you are presenting something as one thing and delivering the other, and then when the person who's actually trying to present what this really is then having to try to explain why you're not that thing and why they are. It's like it's confusing, and I don't like it when people confuse consumers. Like I said, I'm a customer service person. I don't like that. I want to be honest, and I will tell people, if we can't do something, I'm going to tell you we can't do it. And usually it's because we don't have the equipment or something. There are some operations that just require equipment that's like $100,000 to do, and we're too small of an operation to do that. But I'm going to be upfront and tell you that if that's the case.
We're also firm believers in that, and definitely looking out for the consumer.
Yes.
But Sherri, it's been a pleasure having you on today. So look forward to having you at the Builder Expo too. So that'll be a lot of fun.
I know I have way more questions to ask at the Builder Expo too. I'm going to be over there annoying you guys. So.
That's okay. I'll be there all day, so you go right ahead.
But you want to tell people how they can get in touch with you?
Sure. Best way is to go to our website, which is www.herricksfurniture.com. That's HERRICKS furniture.com. And there's a contact me link there. The email goes right to me. So.
Okay. Perfect.
Excellent.
Thanks for joining us again. And as always, make sure to like, follow,
comment, and subscribe, and hit that notification bell.